just 2 weeks away now, so tonight we take you to Melbourne for round 1 of the Australian Rally Championship.
As Neil Bates was flagged away from the starting ramp at the commencement of his quest for a third Australian rally title, the leaden skies signalled a wet and slippery rally ahead. The Rally of Melbourne had adopted a new format: short, sharp, just 150 kilometres long and pace noted. A sprint rally in a championship which had for so long been based on endurance for both car and driver. The Toyota man would face a renewed challenge from Mitsubishi driver Michael Guest, the young Newcastle flyer having completed an all-new car just days before the rally. With the turbo restriction rules in place, Bates' Celica and its large turbo inlet would be handicapped severely, especially compared with the smaller turbo Mitsubishis of Guest and Ordinsky. East of the Victorian capital, the rolling green hills and picturesque vineyards of Domaine Chandon Winery near Healesville would host the opening stage. The sprint format meant every driver had to go for it from the start. No time to play it cool and wait for the other guy's mistake. Guest was attacking, knowing his only chance was to put pressure on Bates from the word go. Away from the winery in the surrounding mountains, Bates would feel the lack of power more than most, but the traction and handling of the Toyota would compensate, he believed. On top of the Great Divide, the rally took competitors to 1,250 metres above sea level. Bates had a mere 20-second lead over Guest as they sprinted towards the end of the first leg. Despite holding the lead, Bates looked worried and less than comfortable with a narrow margin.
I think we've done 60-odd kilometres competitive today, and there's only 21 seconds in it, which is a third of a second a kilometre. So the restrictors have brought the cars a lot closer, and the competition's very close.
As night fell, a blast around the Healesville showground would complete the first leg, with Bates showing the way to Guest and Ordinsky, who were both trying hard to keep the pressure on the Toyota team. Ordinsky even made an uncharacteristic miscue. The final day would provide an interesting challenge for the front runners, with rain predicted and 90 kilometres of fast competition ahead. As dawn broke over the Yarra Valley, hot air balloons peacefully drifted over the vines, giving the rally a distinctly French flavour. The roar of rally cars soon interrupted the quiet, with Bates intent on opening the gap to Guest.
He's a left 3.5.
With rain now falling, turning the forestry roads through the mountains into slippery and treacherous tracks, an enthralling battle for fourth place was being waged between two young up-and-coming drivers. Canberra's Graham Vaughan in his McDonald's Galant was narrowly ahead of 23-year-old Melbourne driver Cody Crocker in an aged Mazda. Guest was throwing everything he had at Bates, and a short time later, in special stage 8, he would slide off into a fire break for a short time. Bates had a 41-second margin over Guest as he pressed on through the slippery forests.
So left 4. Then right 4.5 opens 50.
In Formula 2, Toyota driver Justin Barham had his Corolla at the head of the standings, blasting through the rain around 20 seconds clear of hard-charging Daihatsu driver Brett Middleton. The rain and fog became heavier, with the conditions making it difficult for not only the drivers, but the spectators as well. The conditions called for some careful driving, according to Bates, but to watch him, you wouldn't have known. He was confident he couldn't be caught, sliding across the finishing line on special stage 10, just one stage and less than 2 kilometres from the finish. Guest was still hoping that he might bridge the gap and was in hot pursuit. For some drivers, such as Nissan pilot Simon Evans, the treacherous conditions did not signal a need for more judicious driving. His exuberance brought a penalty. On the final stage, with rain turning the Domaine Chandon work roads into skating rinks, Bates was conscious of completing that final 2 kilometres without sliding off. With mud flying, Bates slithered over the finish line to grab the opening glory in what was going to be a long and testing championship. Guest would finish just 21 seconds behind, signalling that he would be stiff opposition for Bates, just as he had been in 1994. In a new and unproven car, Guest turned in an exemplary performance, while Group N Supremo Ed Ordinsky would again take the class for standard cars, despite sliding wide on the final corner. He would be third, just 57 seconds behind Guest. Vaughan in the Galant would take fourth, and Crocker, showing his immense talent, fifth, a further 38 seconds back. Barham would capture Formula 2 for Toyota, holding Middleton out despite some hard charging from the Daihatsu driver. For Bates, it was the perfect way to celebrate his 27th birthday, and after a win in a minor C5 rally a month earlier, he now had 300 points, putting him 200 ahead of Guest.